A soldier raises his hand to his forehead, and for just a moment, everything becomes silent. You've probably seen this gesture thousands of times, but have you ever wondered why soldiers actually do it? Why the hand? Why the forehead? And why is this tiny movement treated with so much importance? When a junior soldier salutes an officer, it looks like a simple greeting, but it's actually much more than that. Some people believe the story begins hundreds of years ago, with medieval knights wearing heavy metal armor. One popular theory says knights lifted the visors of their helmets to reveal their faces to each other. Over time, some people believe that gesture may have inspired the salute we recognize today. But there's a problem. The real history isn't nearly that simple. The military salute appears to have evolved gradually through centuries of customs, discipline, and military tradition. And behind that simple movement of one hand is a surprisingly long history. Scene 11. Long before modern armies existed, humans were already using their hands to communicate without words. An open or raised hand could signal peace, recognition, or simply show that the person wasn't immediately threatening. For warriors, this could be especially important. Approaching a stranger while carrying a weapon was never a casual situation. Then came the age of armor, when helmets could completely hide a warrior's face. A knight lifting his visor and revealing his face would make his identity visible to the person standing in front of him. It's easy to imagine how such gestures could eventually influence later military traditions, but historians don't have proof of a direct connection. As armies became more organized, gestures of respect became more formal and more strictly controlled. Soldiers were trained to stand, march, turn, speak, and salute in specific ways. Military manuals eventually began documenting these movements, turning tradition into something soldiers could be formally taught. And as different armies developed their own traditions, different versions of the salute began to appear. The military is built around hierarchy. A private follows a corporal follows a sergeant, and officers command larger formations. The salute became one of the clearest ways for a junior service member to acknowledge someone of higher rank. When a soldier salutes an officer, the gesture communicates something simple: I recognize your rank. It also communicates something deeper: I understand the military structure I'm part of. And when the officer returns the salute, the response recognizes the soldier and the professional relationship between them. So the salute isn't just about personal respect. It represents discipline, professionalism, and military order. That's why recruits practice it again and again, until the movement becomes precise and automatic. In military training, even a small mistake in posture or hand position can be corrected immediately. Repetition turns the salute from something a recruit has to think about into something that happens almost naturally. Eventually, a trained soldier can recognize the situation and perform the salute without hesitation. But why use the right hand? One possible clue comes from the history of weapons. For centuries, many warriors carried weapons in their right hand. Showing that hand openly could have meaning. That's why some explanations connect the right-hand salute with the ancient importance of showing an empty hand. But this doesn't mean the modern salute was invented simply as a weapon check. Military traditions rarely come from one single idea. They usually evolve as cultures, armies, and customs change. That's why the modern soldier and the medieval knight can look strangely similar in one tiny movement, even though centuries separate them. Historians have searched through military records, illustrations, and old traditions to understand how the salute developed. And the evidence suggests a complicated evolution rather than one clearly documented moment of invention. But the salute became much more powerful when armies began using it as part of formal ceremonies. Imagine hundreds of soldiers raising their hands at exactly the same moment. One simple gesture suddenly becomes a visual display of discipline and unity. Alongside uniforms, flags, marching, and military music, the salute becomes part of a carefully organized ceremony. And sometimes, soldiers don't salute a person at all. They salute a flag. At military funerals, the same gesture can take on an entirely different emotional meaning. A soldier may salute a memorial to honor those who served before them. And when a fallen service member is being honored, the salute can become a symbol of remembrance and sacrifice. The physical movement hasn't changed much, but its meaning can change completely depending on the situation. In one moment, it represents rank. In another, it can represent respect, honor, memory, and loss. There's another important detail. A soldier doesn't necessarily salute because they personally admire the person in front of them. A younger officer may receive a salute from an older and more experienced soldier because the gesture recognizes rank, not age. In that sense, the salute compresses an entire military hierarchy into one simple movement. It also has a practical advantage. A salute can be recognized from a distance. In a noisy environment, you don't need to shout. The gesture itself communicates the message. And when hundreds of soldiers perform it together, the individual movements become a symbol of the entire organization. The salute doesn't just show discipline, it makes discipline visible. From medieval warriors to modern military formations, the salute has traveled through centuries of history. Its original purpose may never be completely known, but the tradition survived because it gained a new meaning over time. Today, one raised hand can represent authority, discipline, respect, loyalty, and honor all at once. So the next time you see a soldier salute, don't think of it as simply saying hello. You're watching a tradition shaped by centuries of military history. The salute may take less than a second, but behind that one movement is an entire history of warriors, armies, discipline, and tradition. And that's the strange story behind why soldiers salute.